Noswaith dda, good evening all. We are back. You know who it is. I'm Dyfed. This is Guto. We are the NFL Cymru Podcast, coming to you on the eve, pretty much, of pre-season football. Guto, 2 words. Football's back. This is the last time until February, the last weekend in February, that's not going to include an NFL game. I mean, how sweet does that sound?
This is what we've been counting down for, Dyfed. Pre-season's underway this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. There's some tasty games this weekend as well. One game that's coming out of my head quickly. The Cleveland Browns against the Carolina Panthers. It's been reported, Dyfed, that Shadir Sanders will be starting for the Cleveland Browns. He was the story of the draft, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
Well, we were saying, Guto, I mean, the Browns don't really have a choice because obviously they're not going to start Joe Flacco, who I take it is going to be their starter. Yeah. Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett are both injured. I think they've got like soreness. I think Dylan Gabriel's got soreness in his throwing arm. Not sure what's happened to Kenny Pickett. Since then, the Browns have had to sign another quarterback in Snoop Huntley. Yeah. So he, I guess, might play a part on Friday. I'd be very surprised if Shadir plays the whole game. However, let's be honest with you, Huntley's going to have 3 days. I know he used to be on the Browns roster. I don't know how much the playbook has changed, but Shadir is the only one at the moment, only QB that knows the playbook at the moment for the Browns. So yeah, it's going to be, expect the NFL media to kind of make a lot about that, obviously. Did you hear, by the way, crazy news about Deion Sanders as well? Did you hear that he had surgery on? He had pancreatic cancer, I think. Oh, wow. Yeah, and he came out of surgery either the beginning of this week or last week. So he's been. Obviously, Shadir's been dealing with that as well. So, obviously, we're glad to hear. I think he's in recovery now, and I believe the surgery went well.
Yeah.
So, but that was kept really, really quiet. So, obviously, Shadir's been dealing with that, with his dad having surgery, pretty intense surgery, and he's potentially named as the starting QB for the Cleveland Browns in 2 days' time. So, just as a rounder, Guto, who are the Falcons playing on the opening weekend?
A Friday night game. So the opening night we will be playing against the Detroit Lions. So it will be interesting to see who we starting that one. So apparently Kirk Cousins will be sitting this one out. So I won't be surprised if Michael Pitts get a game, or we'll go with a third choice Easton Stick for a couple of drives. So yeah, we'll see. But not expecting a whole lot during pre-season. Just as long as everybody's fit and ready for week 1. That's all I'm worried about.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Penix is out there for maybe more than a few series, probably, if that. You used to see a lot of starters playing more. Do you remember when we used to have 4 preseason games and then it went down to 3 a couple of years ago? So obviously you used to see a lot more starters playing in preseason. Now, some starters don't play at all in the preseason. So, whether that is, due to injury in training camp or they're just trying to keep each other fresh, and because, obviously, it is not as highly competitive as regular season games. However, it is do or die for many of the, for hundreds of individuals who are maybe at the bottom of the roster or who are fighting for a 53-man squad or even a practice squad place. So, it is still very, very competitive because you're talking about livelihoods here at the end of the day. But anyway, the Dolphins are playing on Sunday. They're playing up in Chicago at Soldier Field. They are travelling up today, I believe. So their first joint practice is going to be with the Bears on Friday. I'm always intrigued to see, because obviously for the last 2 weeks, the offense and the defense have been playing against each other every single day. So I think that gets a little bit old. You get to kind of, each other's tendencies. So it's always really, really cool. And I always see when it's really, really fresh, you're against fresh opposition, and ultimately how the defense does. Do they hold up, and can the offense move the ball as well? So I'll be looking forward. I'll definitely keep my eyes on the Dolphins Twitter on Friday. Excuse me. So obviously, Guitar, I mean, we're here. What are we? 5 days out. Let's discuss. We are going to be discussing the elephant in the room. That is, of course, the announcement that came last Friday. Well, I guess it came on Thursday. It kind of broke overnight here in Wales. That obviously Louis Rees-Zammit is leaving the NFL after only 18 months to rejoin the world of rugby. Obviously, nothing, as if we're taping right now, has been released in terms of, which club is he going to go to? Is he going to go play in France, England, whatever? He's definitely not going to be coming back to one of our Welsh regions, because the state of the game here in Wales is it's quite troublesome, put it this way, Gito, because long story short, the Welsh Rugby Union are potentially thinking about cutting regions. We have 4 at the moment. In the next couple of years, we might be even going down to 2, 3 drastic changes. But anyway, we're gonna come to Zammit very, very shortly. However, Gito, let's get started off with some transactions, some extensions that have been made. Should we start off with a big defensive name having a contract over in Denver? Zach Allen, a very, very talented D lineman, has been extended by the Broncos. Tell us about the contract.
Yeah, so it's a 4-year extension for Zach Allen, the defensive lineman of the Broncos, $102 million, which includes $69.5 million guaranteed. So that is big money contract there for the Broncos. An excellent D lineman in Zach Allen. I don't know what's the age is off the top of my head, but he's got plenty of years in him.
I was going to say I don't think he's older than 27. I think he's quite quite young.
Going into his prime.
I was going to say a lot of people. Well, he was one of the D linemen. He was a Pro Bowl snub last season, along with the next gentleman that we're going to talk about, by the way, which we'll get to very shortly. But he's an absolute monster. I think he had 15 sacks for the Broncos last year. And I think in our last series, when we were noting, when we finished off ranking our divisions, I really, really like the Broncos defense, especially what's going on over there. There were lots of glimpses with Sean Payton and all sorts. So, obviously he is their stellar man on their defensive line. So, great to see that he's been rewarded for an outstanding season. But, Gito, the one that I'm really, really excited about is another Zach. Not Zach Allen, but Miami Dolphins defensive lineman, Zach Sealer. I absolutely love this dude. He's just... Let me just put you into perspective. This is his story, okay? So he was drafted in 2018 by the Ravens. 7th round draft pick. He went to a D2 college. He was released during his rookie season by the Baltimore Ravens. He was claimed then off waivers by the Dolphins. And since then, he's been working up the depth chart. And the last 2 seasons, definitely last year, was another Pro Bowl snub. But no one in the last 2 years, no other defensive player, not even defensive lineman, has had more sacks in the NFL than Zach Sealer in the last 2 seasons. He's had back-to-back double-digit sacks in the NFL. Everyone was talking about the Dolphins this year changing their model, changing the mentality. We weren't going to splash the money, which is a Dolphin trait, Guitar, I have to say. But we were all, oh my God, we were calling out the ownership, the GM, pay Zach Sealer. The guy deserved it. He lived for the first 2 years whilst he was in Miami. He lived in an RV, in a caravan for the first 2 years, because he thought that he was going to get cut any single moment. So he didn't even buy a house, but he bet on himself. He worked hard. He's the first guy in, last guy to leave. I'm so glad, because he's been so underpaid, like ridiculously underpaid for the last 2 years. So Guto, tell us how he's been rewarded.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story, actually.
It is class.
Started from the bottom, now we're here, sort of thing. I love a good story. When they started from the bottom, working anywhere, betting on themselves, I'm all for it. It's great to see. Zach Sealer agreed to terms on a 3-year extension. Not quite the biggest of contracts we've seen recently. However, 3-year, 67.75 mil, still a pretty decent contract for 3 years. 44 mil guaranteed. So I think from the both of us, I say well deserved.
Oh my gosh, I'm so relieved, because to the young guys, and especially to the mood in the locker room, I think that's going to go a miles in terms of the satisfaction. And maybe you have rookies that come in and see someone like Zach Sealer, who's been with the Dolphins for over 6 seasons now, him taken care of. He is the perfect professional in my opinion. He's worked, like you said, he's worked himself up from the bottom, a 7th round pick, worked himself up the depth chart, and like I said, absolutely phenomenal. The reason, Guto, that there might be a disparity between Zach Allen and Zach Sealer's contract is because. So that's basically what they've done. The Dolphins has been a little bit clever here. So he had 2 years left on his contract, which was $8 million per year. So that's what they've done. They've given him an extension, so he still has those two years, which is equivalent of 16 million. So basically, you put the 64 million contract and add another 16 to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So he's guaranteed around $45 million over the next 3 years, which is obviously a life-changing amount, a life-changing sum of money. So I think he's already made 25 million, and he's going to make another 45 over the next 3 years. So he's changed his fortunes for himself and for a few generations in his family. So I'm absolutely ecstatic for Zach Sealer. Absolutely, he's my guy. So I've been chomping on the bit, and I've been hitting the table really, really hard for him to get a contract. But anyway, so 2 Zachs, 2 big D linemen in the AFC taken care of. Another one, Guto, that came out, I think it was yesterday, a player that I really, really like. He's been an exciting back for the Rams over the last couple of years. Their running back, their star running back, Kyron Williams, sorry. He signed an extension with LA.
Yeah, a 3-year, 33 million contract extension. He's a decent running back. He's done a few years in the NFL, so yeah, it's good to see him. It'd be nice to see him playing a few more years in the NFL as well. So no, I'm a big fan of this one, and I like the look of the Rams this season as well. I think they're going to be a really good team this year.
Me too. I think both of us. I think both of us picked the Rams to win the West, didn't we? I'm pretty sure.
Indeed. Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I think I said on the previous podcast, Rams for me are the dark horse of the NFC this year. Like I said, they gave the Eagles a really, really good fight in the divisional round last season, and I think they've got the DNA, they've got the coaching. I think there's something brewing, and especially they've got a really disruptive D line, a really good wide receiver room. Although Matthew Stafford is being held out of practice.
There's a niggling injury going on.
Shoulder, I think it's shoulder.
So they're processing him so I think he won't play in pre-season. I think week 1 at this moment is still questionable.
Yeah.
But he should get better. Definitely for week 2, I think.
I hope so.
Hopefully
because
before
I think.
Hopefully before week 8 when he plays in London.
Well, yeah. I think is it their backup is Jimmy G, right? Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Jimmy
interesting as well. The tension that was between Jimmy Garoppolo and Devontae Adams when they were at the Rams. I think Devontae Adams made his feelings very, very known, what he thought about Jimmy G whilst in in Las Vegas. So it'll be interesting to see if Jimmy G does start week 1 for the Rams.
Yeah.
But clearly, obviously, in the media, I'm sure they'll say the relationship has been, has been, what's the word am I thinking about here? Yes, they've made up, basically. Yeah, I was trying to think of a fancy word. Yes. So yeah, they've made up, and obviously they've moved on. They're with a different team now. But yeah, I think it would be a blow. Don't get me wrong if Stafford isn't available, but I think they have to look at his longevity throughout the whole of the regular season. If he's not good week 1, don't play him. And like I said, if he can come back week 2 or 3 and he can play throughout the season, then I think that's the best call. So obviously we've talked about Zach Sealer's amazing backstory. There's a really cool backstory to this next one as well. Keenan Allen, Guto, is returning to the Chargers, where he spent his first 10 seasons, I believe, in LA. He went to Chicago for a couple of seasons. He's now signed a 1-year deal with the Chargers. I thought that was a pretty classy move.
Yeah, I didn't actually see this one coming, to be honest. But following, it's been reported following the 1 season with the Bears, he's returning to the Chargers, signing a 1-year, $8.52 million deal. So, this is a quite interesting move. I think it's a bit of a boost for the Chargers as well. I've got them finishing doing quite well this season. Obviously, that was a debate in our standing predictions there, but yeah, having Keenan Allen, I think that's a very decent move for the Chargers.
Well, he's their all-time leading receiver, I think, in terms of wide receiver. I know Antonio Gates scored a ton of touchdowns. Him and Phillip Rivers, one of the best 1-2 combos in the NFL back in the day. But yeah, like you were saying, Guitar, I think one of the things that I noted when we were doing our rankings is their wide receiver room was quite thin, apart from Lad McConkey. There was nothing much outside of that, really. So, I think adding Keenan Allen is more than welcomed in terms of the fan base down there in Chargers. At least you've got someone who is familiar with the playbook, familiar with Justin Herbert as well. So I think he's going to fit in fine. Like you said, he was only away. For some reason, I thought he was away for 2 seasons, but clearly he was only away for 1. And the last one, Guitar, Teddy Bridgewater is back in the NFL. Where has he landed?
Teddy Bridgewater, who it is, signing a 1-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, veteran quarterback. I believe he did retire, and now he's come back from the season, I believe. I don't remember him playing last season, David, if I'm correct.
No, so I think I have to correct myself. He didn't retire because he spent last season coaching a high school football team, Northwestern, in Florida. And they won the championship. They won the state championship. However, I was reading up on this. Apparently he was fired. He was let go by Northwestern after winning a state championship. So he's probably said, screw you, I'm going to go back to the NFL. So again, like you said, a really good veteran, a former first-round pick. He was with the Dolphins a couple of seasons ago, pretty solid. So he'll be backing up Baker in Tampa Bay. Okay, I think, Guto, we've covered all the news in terms of extensions, new signings. Shall we talk about some drama that's going down in 2 places at the moment? I think the big drama, the serious drama, is going down in Dallas. Shall we talk about what's going on with the Commanders and Terry McLaurin at the moment? Apparently, a couple of days ago, he made it clear that he had requested a trade away for the Commanders. He wants his contract renewed. I'm guessing he wants either a raise or he wants more guaranteed money, which is usually what players are looking for. I'm pretty sure he's held out. He hasn't been at training camp. I think he made it very clear, Guto, that he was very unhappy with the way that the Commanders have dealt with the whole situation. There hasn't been any negotiations. There hasn't been any talks. I was quite surprised to see this happen because I've put down the Commanders to win the NFC East. I don't know how serious this. I don't see him leaving. I don't know how you feel about this.
Yeah, it's the Terry McLaurin story is very interesting. He's favoured to, in terms of all the bets. He's actually favoured to stay with the Commanders. So, I won't be surprised either. I'm not seeing a lot of negotiations or any reports of teams going for him. The Patriots are second favourite to land him, but I don't see the Patriots doing any more deals, especially before week 1. So it's, this one just came out of the blue for me, really. So I haven't given it much time to read into it, but I don't really see him moving too soon, to be honest. Maybe mid-season, I'm not sure. I think the Commanders would want to keep him, so I wouldn't be surprised if he actually stays, if they do work something out.
Oh, I think they'd be very foolish to move on from him, because him and if you think about it, him and Debo is a 1-2 punch. Oh gosh, that's really, really exciting. I've always thought that he's a really underrated wide receiver in the NFL. I really, really like what he does. He has a bit of everything. He's physical. He can kind of like, he's kind of like a guy who can pluck the ball up to the air. He's also a guy that does a lot of yards after carry, yards after catch as well. So a really exciting player. And like I said, I personally at the moment, I don't see him outside of Washington. If the Patriots are serious about signing him, they're going to have to sign him to a major contract. And having him and Stephon Diggs would be a bummer for me, because they're, obviously they're in our division. I wouldn't fancy that, I have to say. But no, I'm not sure how serious this is. I think this is more of them putting it out to the media to kind of get the Commanders to get the ball rolling, and kind of like basically give a kick up the backside to say, come on, let's be serious about this. I don't want to be anywhere else. However, if I have to make this threat to move on, let's make something happen, So I think I completely agree with you. However, the situation over in Dallas, I believe, is slightly different. Micah Parsons, 3-4-time Pro Bowler, defensive end, Dallas Cowboys. Apparently, he's obviously gone on social media. He has called out the owner, Jerry Jones. And he said that he had a conversation with Jerry Jones, and he said, I'm leaving Dallas and I am signing elsewhere. So I genuinely do see Micah Parsons moving on a lot more. I'd give the Terry McLaurin chance of moving on for the Commanders probably 5%. I'd put Micah Parsons more of the 75% chance of him moving on, because it just seems to me that everything is just, the relationship is completely soured over there in Dallas at the moment.
Yeah, I think this would be a massive loss for the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, to me, is just a very negative team in the last few seasons.
Poorly run organisation, Guto.
Yeah, they call themselves the Americans team, but they're a poorly run team. Just reading a report here from ESPN, Jerry Jones not confident Micah Parsons plays for the Cowboys, so they're probably expecting him to leave as well. I wonder where he will go. I can see any big team going for him, to be quite honest with you. He'll be a massive loss for the Cowboys, but it'll be a big win for any team. I saw something, it was probably reported by a fake outlet, that the Falcons going to trade Kyle Pitts for him. I don't want that personally. I want to keep Kyle Pitts. But, however, I think any team going for Michael Parsons, that's a win for them. It probably shows the state of the Dallas Cowboys as well, with how everything's been run. No wonder he wants to leave. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one ends up.
Do you know, Guto, do you know a team that I can really, really see going for him?
Go on.
The Eagles.
I will not be surprised. They've lost a few key defenders since the Super Bowl as well. So that's one player to fill the gap.
The only thing for me is, are they going to be able to make the cap space for Micah Parsons? Because let's be honest, when he signs an extension, he is probably going to be the highest paid defensive player in the NFL.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'd be very, very surprised if he's not. He's obviously going to demand that, and I think he deserves it. And like you said, the trends of the contracts that are going out at the moment, you expect nothing less for him to be the highest paid defensive player. Like I said, I just think it's a typical Philadelphia sneaky move. I know they're in the same division. Obviously, they did that with Saquon from the Giants, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them. And I think Micah Parsons would be only willing to go to a number of teams. I doubt. Well, maybe. I hope that he wouldn't kind of like per se go to a team like the Titans, for instance, who probably have a lot of cap space but are clearly rebuilding. They've got a rookie QB and are not looking to, let's just say, compete for a Super Bowl maybe for the next 2 or 3 years. No offense intended, you Titans, fans out there, by the way. I hope he doesn't go, there for the money.
Yeah.
I hope he goes somewhere basically to win a ring. And my thought, it would be a typical Eagles move. But yeah, it's gonna, like you said, it's gonna be fascinating to see what happens. I mean, he's kind of running out of time. He's only got 3 weeks until the beginning of the regular season. So does this mean he's gonna hold out? He's not going to play for the first quarter of the season until a deal is done. But like I said, things could be moving very, very swiftly behind the scenes that we don't know of. And maybe there's a deal, maybe there's a few teams bidding for him already, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were. But yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye out for that, because that's going to be quite a substantial move.
Yeah. One thing before we move on, I'm not sure if you've seen this, but Aaron Donald, who's retired, has teased that if the Rams get Micah Parsons, he might have to think about unretiring.
Oh,
so, God. Imagine having Aaron Donald back in the NFL.
Well, listen, I think I've said it 10 minutes ago. Like the Rams have a nasty D-line at the moment already.
Yeah.
Who was their draft pick? He's a defensive end. Is it Jermaine Kearse?
Possibly so.
I think it was Jermaine Kearse. Anyway, he won. I think he won defensive rookie of the year last year, and he was an absolute baller. And they have a few other studs on their D-line as well. So, like I said, if you add Micah Parsons and Aaron Donald, who's probably still in ridiculous shape after 2 years of being out of the NFL, that's just ridiculous, isn't it? So
Micah Parsons actually responded to the tweet, and he's tagged him. He's tagged his agent in the comment. So, and he's responded, "Don't tell me info like that," and then he's tagged him in it. So that's something to keep an eye on, David.
Nice.
That's
cool. I like the idea of Aaron Donald coming back, actually, because I always thought that he retired too soon. I know he retired after winning a ring, and that's ultimately, that was ultimately his goal. But my goodness me, he's probably one of the best defensive players we've seen in our generation, or especially in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
He was an absolute monster when he was unblockable, wasn't he? He was just unplayable at times.
Unreal player.
Okay, Guto, like I said, let's get to our boy, shall we?
Well, is he our boy anymore, David?
Oh, he'll always be our boy. Come on.
Yeah.
Cool. Listen. I'm gonna throw it. I'm gonna go to you first.
Okay.
To see what your thoughts, because obviously, like we said, we've had a couple of days now to kind of reflect and to gather our thoughts about it. Guto, what was your initial thoughts when you maybe saw or heard about the announcement that Zammit was leaving the NFL?
First of all, before I say anything, David, I will send you your flowers. If anybody's not seen on the BBC News or Espedorac on Friday night, our boy David here was being interviewed about the Louis Rees-Zammit situation. So, David, well done, and congrats to you getting our name on there as well. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Represents.
Yeah. So I woke up on Friday morning to a message from my dad, and he sent an image of Louis Rees-Zammit with the caption "leaving," that he was leaving, and my first thought was, "No, he's not. No, he's not." Fake news. A few minutes afterwards, I woke up. I went on Instagram, and I saw Louis Rees-Zammit's post. It was his first one that came up on my phone, and the first thing I thought, I read his statement, and I thought, one, he must have written that on ChatGPT or through AI. To me, it just looked fake. So I thought, this can't be real. This surely can't be real. But it was from his original profile, so I had a few thoughts going around my head. Went on Twitter, and it's literally what everyone is talking about. So it started to dawn on me that the news is true, that Louis Rees-Zammit was leaving after 18 months, I believe. So first thought, and still carrying it to this day, is I'm not going to lie, I'm gutted. I'm absolutely gutted. I'm gutted for Louis Rees-Zammit that it hasn't worked out for him. Obviously, he's shared a story that his father was playing in the European leagues, so it's been kind of his dream as well to follow in his footsteps. So, look, I'm proud that he's given it a go. He's given it a really good go. He went through the IPP, the International Player Programme. Fair play to him. Not a lot of people doubted him, and although he's leaving after 18 months, he's quite frankly doubted a lot of people wrong as well. So, praises for him, sending him my flowers. But at the end of the day, David, I'm gutted that he hasn't worked out. And there was rumours in the end that he had a little back injury, so his position in the squad was questionable. I think we mentioned that in the previous episode. Overall, I'm just gutted. But at the end of the day, thinking the bigger picture here, he's only 24, I believe, 23, 24. He wants to play. He's an athlete. He's an outstanding athlete. We've seen. He'll be back in the Wales squad in no time. He'll be the first name on the list, even though he hasn't played rugby in almost 2 years. This isn't a rugby podcast, but I think it's worth mentioning that the Welsh Rugby Union is in a bit of a slump. It's, excuse my French, but a bit of a shit show. If
Absolutely. To say it lightly, Guto. Yeah.
So, exactly. So, but yeah, he won't play for a Welsh club or anything, depending if he goes to England. Some rumours that he'll go to France. But at the end of the day, he wants to play. And the person of that age, an athlete in that age, he was considered one of the best rugby players in the world when he was playing. So, I wish him good luck. I will be rooting for him back in rugby. But overall, I'm just gutted that it didn't work out in the NFL.
Well, can I just, first of all, well said, and I'd like to, I'd like to echo everything pretty much that you said there, Guto. Last Friday was a really, really, really weird day. It was just one of those kind of like, it's like, if I look back at it now, it's kind of like almost like a blur, because everything kind of like from the moment that I woke up in the morning to the moment that I went to sleep on Friday evening, it was kind of almost like a blur. And like you mentioned, to be fair, a lot of things happened quite instantaneously, because like you said, the news ultimately broke in the middle of the night here in the UK, in Wales especially. So the majority of us woke up to the news in the morning. Do you know what, Guto? I'm not sure if I've told you this. It was the last post that I saw before going to bed on Thursday night. I happened to be awake, literally, I think it was 5 or 10 minutes just after he had posted that statement. And my initial reaction to it was exactly the same as yours. I genuinely thought it was a spoof. And so much that I thought that it wasn't real, I put my phone down and I went to sleep that night. Little did I know that my phone would be ringing at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, the next day, asking me to be on the radio, on Welsh radio, talking about it in the morning. I wasn't on radio because my son, who is not sleeping well at the moment anyway, is up at 5 a.m. and I went to sleep on the floor of the nursery and I didn't take my phone with me. So anyway, I didn't look at my phone until later on. So that's why I wasn't on in the morning. I was scheduled to be on at lunchtime. So we talked about it. I just had to gather my thoughts just kind of quickly because I was the same as you, Gita. My first initial thought, I was devastated to hear that he was going back to rugby. And like you said, I echo everything that you said. And it's been, 5-6 days since the announcement. And I still feel, although obviously it's his personal choice, I really wish that he'd given it a little bit longer just to kind of see. Another thing as well, I think I said this in the interview, I really hope that he's gone out on his terms.
Yeah.
That is, injury hasn't forced him to leave, or the Jags hasn't forced him to leave, that they haven't cut him or terminated his contract or even called him up and said, Lewis, we don't see a future for you here with the Jags on our practice squad or on our 53-man roster. I really, really hope that he's maybe come to the conclusion, and like you said, he's an athlete. He wants to compete. He's going into the prime. Like you said, he's only 24. He'd before he made that massive jump to change from rugby to transfer from rugby to the NFL, he'd achieved pretty much everything that you could do in a short career at 22 years of age. He'd played for Gloucester. He'd had over 25 caps for Wales, and ultimately he's played for the British and Irish Lions as well. Not a lot of 22-year-olds could say that they've had that resume. Yeah. So it was the perfect time for him to go over to the US. I hope he doesn't regret it. I don't think he will, because I think he's gathered a lot of just life experience. I hope, being in the NFL, he's been let's be honest, Gito, he's been surrounded for the last year and a half, especially when he was with the Chiefs, by some of the best athletes and ultimately some of the best coaches the world has ever seen. In terms of NFL or sport, some of the best minds and some of the best naturally gifted athletes out there. So he's been surrounded himself with some of the best of the best. He's had to change his body. He's had to kind of like broaden his armor in terms of he's had to learn all these new skills. He's learned how to learn a new playbook, maybe 2 playbooks. Yeah. So he's worked extremely hard, and I saw a really, really good article today. Another convert actually, from rugby to NFL, and he only got on the practice squad. I can't remember what his name is. I'll have to go back and look what it is. And he said, and later on in life, he became a barrister. And he said, I've never had to work so hard in my life, even as a rugby player or even as a barrister, than I had when being in the NFL. So the NFL, you have to work so hard. It's a very, very tough job. Clearly, you put your body on the line, but there's so much to learn as well. There's so many plays and intricates, and that's why they're college. These are student athletes as well. And and the better students you see get a better grasp of the playbook, and you see them being able to contribute straight away. Other players find it difficult, find it harder, and they take a little bit more time to garner more experience and ultimately to get grips with the playbook. So there's so many layers in this, Guto, but like I said, I really hope, just as the closing statement, I really hope that that he has no regrets with his move to the NFL. I ultimately, on behalf of us here on the NFL Cymru podcast, I want to thank him for making that move in the first place, because ultimately, Guto, although we were NFL fans before Zammit made the move, it's been the catalyst to the beginning of this podcast.
Yeah.
So without that move, there would be no NFL Cymru podcast. And I know that might sound cheesy or corny or whatever, but ultimately that is the truth as well.
Yeah.
I really wish him luck. I can't wait to see him back on the rugby field for Wales. But the only thing that I'm going to leave with you, Guto, is maybe there was an offer on the table there from, like you said, an English or a French club. And it must have been a very, very enticing offer for him to be drawn from the NFL back into rugby union. Because obviously I think he's going to go to somewhere who can ultimately afford his wages.
Yeah.
And the last thing that I'm going to say, another thing that he's been able to do over the last 18 months as well, he's been able to build his brand. Yeah. He is now Louis Rees-Zammit, the brand, isn't he? More than Louis Rees-Zammit, the former rugby player, and now the former NFL player as well. So he is ultimately, I guess, here in Wales, he's a superstar. And he's been in all of these commercials, and he has all of these side businesses and things like that. So I think he's made the most of his 18 months in the US. Like I said, I'm really sorry to see him go. I'm still feeling gutted to this day. Yeah. It's going to take me a while to get over it, but once we probably see him back on the rugby field, maybe that will kind of fade over time. But yeah, it's going to happen one day, Guto. We will finally we will have a Welshman making it onto a 53-man roster, and we will continue. We will endeavour with the NFL Cymru podcast. Nothing is going to change, by the way. We're still going to be here. We're still really, really excited to bring the beginning of the 2025 regular season to you all. We're going to be with you every step of the way throughout the season, and hopefully get up for the foreseeable future. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm not sure if you have any closing thoughts on that before we wrap it up.
Yeah, two notes I've got actually before we end the pod. Like you said, I hope it was ended on his terms. However, I feel like with pre-season being so close, I would have liked to think he was given an opportunity playing pre-season. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping there wasn't any behind the scenes saying that maybe he was given a bigger offer from rugby, because apparently he's got some announcements coming soon. Like he was stating on his statement that there's a big announcement coming. So maybe there is a big contract on the table. But I'd like to think he would have been given the chance to play in pre-season for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I do hope that. As you just mentioned earlier, I've got this note here, hoping it will cheer you up just a little bit. So, as you mentioned, hopefully we will have a Welsh player in the NFL. That's obviously, I want that to happen as well, 100%. It might not be all doom and gloom, though,
Okay.
There is a quarterback playing for... We might even see him play this weekend against Is the Bears playing the Dolphins?
They are.
Okay. The second or third pick quarterback for the Chicago Bears, Tyson Bagent, has a Welsh family.
He does.
He does. He's got a chest tattoo with the word Taylor on it, translated to family. And he's got a quote as well. I'm going to read it in Welsh and I'm going to translate it for our viewers. Teimlais fy holl fywyd fy mod I fod I hedfan. That's a beautiful quote. Translates to, all my life I felt that I was made to fly. So, beautiful quote. His tribute to his grandfather, who was Welsh, sadly, who's passed away a few years ago. Yeah. But Tyson Bagent might be someone to keep an eye on, David.
Wow. Honestly, you've got me pumped with that. And do you remember? I not that I'd forgotten about that, but someone did send me a picture of his tattoo with that. It's a beautiful quote.
Yeah.
I have to say, and it's so lovely to see that someone is ultimately proud of their roots as well.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on what's his name again? Tyson.
Tyson Bagent.
Tyson Bagent. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Tyson Bagent, best of luck of you against the Dolphins. Not too much luck, obviously, but yeah, Guto. Honestly, I can't think of a better way to finish on that note. Like you said, we'll be back next week with a preview of the first round of the preseason, and like we said, we're going to be ramping things up, ready for the beginning of the regular season in a month's time. I can't wait. Guto can't wait. We can't wait here on the NFL Cymru podcast. So, thank you for being with us throughout the time that Zammit was in the NFL. If you were inspired like us, please let us know. We're still on the socials. We're on Instagram at NFL Cymru Pod. We've got an X account, a Twitter account as well, and hit us up on YouTube. Free, everything is free on YouTube as well. Watch our videos and please contribute. We'd love to hear from you. Guto, really enjoyed this. Really nice to clear the air about Zammit as well. Really interesting to hear about your views, and like I said, awesome to hear that there is we'll call him a Welshman that might be out in the field on Soldier Field against the Dolphins for the Chicago Bears. So that's a good place to end. Guto, thanks for your time. Thank you guys as always. We will definitely catch you on the next one on the NFL Cymru Pod. Diolch yn fawr iawn.